Hey, I'm Adam with Faith Labs. We do daily devotionals for busy Christians. Today's is a super cool one. This is titled The Left-Handed Assassin Who God Chose. Let's get into it. A man just plunged an 18-inch blade so deep into a king's belly that the handle completely disappeared. The king, he's so fat that his flesh, it closes around the weapon like the weapon was never there. Blood and other things are spilling out everywhere. Then the assassin calmly walks out, locks the door behind him, and escapes through a bathroom window while all the guards outside, they think their king's just in there going to the bathroom. This isn't Game of Thrones. It's not a Quentin Tarantino film. This is the Bible, Book of Judges, chapter 3. And somehow my Sunday school conveniently forgot to mention this one. Look, I thought I knew the violent parts of the Bible, David and Goliath, Samson bringing down the temple, but this story, it stopped me cold. Because this isn't just about violence, it's about how God chooses the most unlikely people to do impossible things. And as somebody who's been written off more times than I can count, this one hit a little different. So I'm sitting there reading through Judges, honestly, just looking for something cool to talk about. And I stumble across this story of a guy named Ehud. The first thing that the text tells us about him is that he's left-handed. And in 1200 BC, that wasn't just uncommon, it was considered a defect. The Hebrew literally calls him restricted in right hand, disabled or broken. Now, I've got full sleeve tattoos, I've got silver hoop earrings, and a criminal background. I know what it feels like when people immediately look at you and write you off or think that they've got your whole story already figured out. So when I see God specifically choosing someone that the world considers defective, I lean in hard and heavy. But here's the question that drove me deeper. Why did the Bible mention his left-handedness at all? We know that ancient writers don't waste words. If it's in there, it matters. So let me try and paint the scene here. The Israelites were under brutal oppression by King Eglon, I think, of Moab. This king whose name it literally translates to little calf, which is biblical shade if I've ever seen it. He's turned Israel into this personal ATM, if you will. 18 years of crushing taxation, forced labor, and absolute domination. The people are desperate. They cry out to God. And God's response? He chooses Ehud, the left-handed guy, the broken one. Now watch this. Ehud crafts a double-edged sword. It's 18 inches long. But here's the genius part. He straps it to his right thigh under his clothes. See, in the ancient world, everyone carried weapons on their left side, so they could draw it with their right hand. And, the bouncers and security of this time, they knew that. When they patted you down, they checked your left side. But Ehud's left-handed. His weapon goes on the right. He's literally hiding in plain sight because of what makes him different. Ehud shows up at the palace with tribute money, basically paying protection money to his king, right? He tells the guards that he has something extra. He says, I have a secret message from God for the king. And here's where my brain started spinning. That phrase, secret message from God, in Hebrew is D-A-V-A-R. It means both word and thing. So when Ehud says that he's got a secret davar or D-A-V-A-R from God, he's technically not lying. He does have a secret thing from God. It just happens to be an 18-inch piece of steel. Then the king dismisses all of his attendants because, hey, who doesn't want to hear a private message from God, right? Then they're alone. Ehud approaches this tyrant who's been crushing people for nearly 2 decades. And then it gets kind of weird. The text says the king was a very fat man. This isn't some sort of weird biblical body shaming. This is setup. Because what happens next, Ehud, he gets close. He says, I have a message from God for you. And the king, he leans in. Ehud reaches across his body with his left hand, draws that hidden blade from his right thigh, and drives it into the king's belly with such force that the blade, handle, and all completely disappears into his flesh. The text here is almost clinical. The fat closed over the blade. But then it gets graphic, like really graphic. Let me just say, when you stab someone in the gut, things come out that aren't just blood. But here's the moment that rewired everything for me. Ehud, he doesn't panic. He doesn't run screaming. He doesn't freak out. He calmly walks out, locks the door behind him, and escapes. Meanwhile, the king's servants, they're locked outside the door just thinking that the king's using the bathroom. They wait and wait and wait because nobody's going to disturb the king on the toilet, right? And by the time that they break down the door, Ehud, he's long gone. And as I'm reading this, I'm realizing this isn't just a crazy assassination story. It's a masterclass in how God uses our differences, our so-called defects, as secret weapons. Ehud wasn't chosen despite being left-handed. He was chosen specifically because he was left-handed. His disability was his strength mode. What everybody else saw as broken, God saw as a strategic advantage. I genuinely know what it feels like to be written off. Addiction, arrests, divorce. I got a resume that would make church people nervous. But somewhere along the way, I realized that all the stuff that I was ashamed of, that's exactly what gives me the credibility when I talk to people who think faith is just for perfect people. My scars aren't bugs in my system, they're features. See, we live in a world that's completely obsessed with normal, with fitting in. But this story says quite the opposite. God specifically looks for people who don't fit the mold. Think about it. If God had chosen a right-handed warrior, this story ends completely differently. Probably Ehud dead and the opposition continuing on like nothing happened. But the left-handed guy, he's got an angle that nobody sees coming. So let me ask you, friend, what about you? What's the thing that you've been told is wrong or is too sensitive, too loud, too quiet, too different? And seriously think about this. What if that isn't your weakness? What if that's your weapon? I spent years trying to hide my past, to present a cleaned up version of myself. But the people who connect most aren't the ones who relate to the perfect Adam. They're the ones who relate to the Adam who's face down in his car at 2 a.m. or sitting in my bed withdrawing from kratom, wondering, what am I even doing? Our differences don't disqualify us. They position us. Ehud delivers Israel from 18 years of oppression. And then the land goes on to have 80 years of peace. Multiple generations growing up free because of one defective guy with a hidden blade who said yes to an impossible mission. What oppression in your life needs your Ehud moment? What impossible situation needs someone willing to approach it from an angle that nobody expects? Maybe you're the left-handed person in your own story. Maybe you're carrying the secret weapon everyone else sees as a liability. Maybe your difference isn't your disqualification. Maybe it's your deployment. The same God who saw strategic advantage in a left-handed assassin sees something in you that the world may be missing. My friend, your story isn't over. Your differences aren't defects. Sometimes the most unlikely people, they do the most impossible things. What's your left-handed adventure? That's a question we're sitting with. Because if this story teaches us anything, it's that God's got a thing for those kind of people that the rest of the world overlooks. And maybe, just maybe, that includes me and you. Hey friend, it's Adam with Faith Labs. If you made it all the way to this video, thanks so much for hanging out for a few minutes. If you could comment and like and then share it around, it really does mean the world to me. Lets me know someone's watching these things and it helps it grow on the algorithms and all that. So thanks for being here. I can't wait to see you on tomorrow's devotional. And as always, onward and God bless you.